My name is Eric Tucker, and I cover the FBI, Justice Department, and National Security for the Associated Press in Washington. Over the last several months, we have seen a variety of legal challenges confronting former President Donald Trump. Among the most serious of those has been unfolding in Washington, where federal prosecutors have been investigating the retention of classified documents at his Florida estate Mar-a-Lago, and also investigating potential efforts by Donald Trump and his representatives to obstruct government efforts to retrieve those documents. In January 2021, as Donald Trump was leaving the White House, boxes of thousands of government records, including what we now know to be hundreds of classified documents, were packed in boxes and taken to Donald Trump's Florida home, Mar-a-Lago. And it became clear to the National Archives and Records Administration that it was missing a variety of documents that it believed it was entitled to have back because they were government records. And that began a months-long negotiation process by the government to obtain the documents. The investigation really takes a very dramatic turn in January of 2022 when the National Archives receives from Mar-a-Lago 15 boxes of records, and when it opens those records, it discovers more than 100 bearing classified markings. At that point, it alerts the Justice Department to the disclosure and discovery of classified records. The Justice Department at that point becomes involved, and months later, it issues a subpoena to the Trump orbit, seeking the return of any and all classified documents that remain in his possession. And this is, again, where the investigation truly escalates, because the Justice Department goes to Mar-a-Lago to collect what it believes to be the entirety of the classified records. It receives roughly 3 dozen. And it obtains information leading investigators to believe that there are yet many more that still remain. In August, specifically August 8th, 2022, the FBI searches Mar-a-Lago armed with a search warrant, and at that point retrieves roughly 100 documents bearing classified markings. And in addition, the assertion, which wound up being false, that all of the documents in Donald Trump's possession had in fact been returned, that wound up not being the case, and the Justice Department came to believe that it might have evidence of potential obstruction, which is in and of itself a crime too. So the mishandling, or what we call the willful retention of national defense information, and obstruction are felonies that carry, years in prison. But this is a federal case, and that infuses it with a degree of gravity that is notable. Although prosecutions of defendants for mishandling classified documents are routine, there is nothing routine about this particular investigation. The politics of it are truly extraordinary and unprecedented. In addition to this being the first federal case against a former president, this is also the first federal case against a leading presidential candidate. And adding to the complexity is this is being brought by the Biden administration Justice Department, and of course President Joe Biden is again seeking re-election, and there is the potential for a rematch against Donald Trump. Now, the Biden administration Justice Department sought months ago to insulate itself from claims of any sort of political meddling or bias or motivation by appointing a special counsel from outside the department, someone by the name of Jack Smith, but there's no question that Trump, as this case moves forward, will look to try to undermine it by claiming that this is an example of political persecution.